Welcome to the Football Garbage Time NFL Podcast. My name is Wong, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Football Garbage Time. And with me is the OG godfather of Football Garbage Time. It's Scott King. Hey, Scott, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Taking
repping a winning team there.
Yeah. A winning team from Detroit. That's for sure.
Yep.
Rare thing.
And of course, we are joined by the one, the only, the greatest. It is the host of Urban Sports Scene and All Burgundy and Gold, everything. It's Wole Akinso. What's up, Wole?
All right, what is going on? Appreciate you having me back on, man. Always appreciate you showing love, and I always appreciate you. To be honest.
Well, hey, listen. As we're saying in the pre-show, I appreciate all of Commanders fans right now because I'm feeling as bad as all of them after last weekend. As we will go into this more, but we've already talked about how much we hate Nick Sirianni, and we've talked about how much that we all hate the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a real doozy of a Super Bowl to watch. Let's just say that. But we're going to have a lot to talk about. We're going to do some winners and losers from the conference championship games now that Wole is recovered from the weekend, and we will talk about the Super Bowl and do some picks there. So, hey, let's get this thing rolling. Okay, let's start with the conference championship games, and we'll start with our favorite, the Eagles and the Commanders. And we'll talk about, a little bit about that in more detail in a second. But I do want to say all together, let's do winners and losers for the whole group. And then I do want to touch on that game because there are a lot of things there. I think they're good takeaways that I want to pick Wole's brain as far as the Commanders are concerned. Mm-hmm. But let's go winners and losers total, though, first for both games. Wole, you first. Who's your winner and loser from the conference championship games in total?
Individually, conference game, I would say winner would be Saquon Barkley, because he's an amazing talent. I thought he was one of the best backs in football. Actually, I had him as like my best back in football when he was with the Giants. But I think you see, like when it doesn't have to be all on him, and he does have to carry the load. You just see how dynamic he is because you just can't gear up for him. So, Saquon Barkley, losers. The whole Washington Commanders defense, that thing is trash. So for me,
I'll talk, and I'll say just a little bit about both of those things. I mean, first of all, with regard to Saquon Barkley, I mean, he is having a ridiculous year. I mean, he is averaging the 179.3 rushing yards per game. He is he's rushing for 2.61 rushing yards over expected, which is better than anybody except for Derrick Henry. And he's just amazing. I mean, he's producing 159 scrimmage yards per game, 1.7 rushing touchdowns per game. I mean, the guy is insane, right? I mean, he's having like a stellar, insane year, and it'll be incredible to see. And of course, 3 60+ touchdown runs in the playoffs alone. That is
crazy.
It's out of this world. I just can't say enough. And I think we talked about this a little bit before, but like the Commanders, obviously, they definitely lost that game. I don't want to take it away from the Eagles. They had to score the points to win, but they definitely lost that game. And as you mentioned, Wole, it was basically turnovers. I mean, turnovers are a real problem there. That was a huge problem. Only 17 giveaways, 8th best in the regular season. And then they have 4 brutal turnovers leading to 28 points. And in fact, if you count the turnover and downs at the end of the fourth quarter, that's 35 points over giveaways. That's more than the difference in the game, right? I mean, that's a lot there. So what do you think here? Any feedback on that, Scott, about the winners and losers that Wole have lined up for the weekend?
Yeah, I was going to go Saquon as well. So I'll go kind of loser, and it's going to be maybe not what everybody expects to hear. So my first loser is the Giants GM and the offseason Hard Knocks. He is just cooked. I've seen more slices. He didn't see the value in keeping Saquon. His son told him to draft Jaden Daniels. He's like 12, 13 years old. So that was coming up over the weekend. So I think he's getting some like residual bad social media clips from off-season Hard Knocks. So that's the first loser. And then the second one is just the fans, right? I mean, look, the Chiefs are who they are. They've won 2 straight Super Bowls. I wore my Red Wings jersey on purpose because I've been part of a franchise that just dominated, right? 25 years in the playoffs, multiple Stanley Cups. And I get the fatigue. Like people, when I talked about the Red Wings in hockey, it's like people get annoyed with it. And we're 8 straight AFC championships with the Chiefs. Now they're going for their 3rd straight Super Bowl. I love watching the Super Bowl, but I just don't have the desire to watch it. Like there's nothing about it that really the only compelling story is, does Saquon get a ring? The rest of it is just, the Eagles, we're going to watch clips of Eagles fans fighting people in the stands. We're going to hear about, we're going to see 4 tush pushes that they're going to talk about. Chiefs are going to get all the calls. We'll have 100 clips of Taylor Swift. Like we already know what the story is. And I really just have no eagerness to even watch. I'll probably watch, but it's not like I'm excited. If it was, I'm a Lions fan, but Bills Lions or Bills Commanders, something with an interesting story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're just rolling out Chiefs Eagles. It feels flat to me.
Here, check out how this sub story here. Carson Wentz may win 2 Super Bowls without playing in either of them. How about that? Right? Because the Eagles won with him on the bench when he was injured.
That's right.
And he's the backup quarterback in Kansas City. He could actually win 2 Super Bowls without ever lifting a finger in the postseason. Wow. That's brilliant. Way to go, Carson.
That's crazy.
More than Dan Marino.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. You don't have to be good, just lucky. Hey, listen, I'll tell you my winners and losers are a little bit in the same, but a little bit different. Obviously, my winner is Steve Spagnuolo's defense. I think they basically did a great job containing Josh Allen. I mean, Josh Allen is a real force to be reckoned with, but everyone they understood that in short yardage situations, he tended to run behind the left guard, and he managed to kind of block that up. Now, one of those was actually a first down.
Yes,
But at the end of the day, I mean, it was the right call on defense is all I'm saying. Not to mention that he also knew how he operated under blitz pressure. He disguised that all game long. And on that 4th and 5, he decided to rush a corner on an all-out blitz, actually just totally disrupting Josh Allen. He was backpedaling the whole way. Now, I'll put a little bit on Dalton Kincaid and that ball bouncing off his hands, but I'll put most of it on the fact that, Josh Allen didn't have time to hit him in stride. So, that's a lot. That's hats off to Steve Spagnuolo kind of finding a way to stop the Bills, because I really did think the Bills were going to run roughshod over that. I'll say this. Weirdly enough, I was in Miami during this game, and I was walking by a bunch of bars. Everybody, I heard this big cheer, because I was going to run to the next bar. And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? It was a Bills score. When the Chiefs scored, everybody's booing and hissing. This is Miami. They don't freaking care what's happening. They have no dog in the fight. But they could not hate the Kansas City Chiefs more, which leads me to my loser from the weekend. It's all of us. Everyone's a loser because we got to watch the Kansas City Chiefs play the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl again. We got to watch them play again. So yeah, we all lost, guys. I just want to say that right now. There's no way we can turn this around. It's just, boy, it kind of sucks. It just flat out sucks. But hey, that's okay. It'll be fun to see if Saquon or Carson Wentz gets theirs. That's all I'm going to be rooting for. Maybe I'll put a bet on Carson Wentz getting his ring or something. Anyway, yeah, that's our takeaways. But let me go back to you, Wole.
Yeah.
Where do the Commanders go from here? Because frankly, I think they had a lot of the right pieces, but some of the mistakes really did them in. But what do you think? Where do they go from here?
I mean, this is it's accelerated because again, if you looked at this roster at the beginning of the season, like I said, we were in the Travis Hunter Bowl when the season started. So
yeah.
It lets you know, and a lot of fans had them getting 6, 5, 6 wins. So they're already accelerated the process. Obviously when you get to the NFC Championship game now, everything should be you got expectations now. If you didn't have any expectations, now you have expectations. So in terms of Adam Peters has done a great job in the draft. So I guess, still continue to build this team in the draft. And now they have a lot of money under the cap. So there, and then, there are rumors out there that a lot of people are now interested to come to Washington because of the regime, because of playing with Jaden Daniels. So, they got players to re-sign because they have a lot of players that were on a 1-year deal they brought in. like a Bobby Wagner, who's essential to to this locker room and to this defense. Then you have you have players like Zach Ertz,
Right.
who had a resurgence here in DC.
He sure did.
You have then you have on the Dante Fowler, who's a free agent. So you got a lot. Jeremy Chin is a free agent. So you got a couple guys that they need to decide if they want to bring back or not. But all in all, I think that they're kind of trending upwards. I'm not going to say like next year definitely going to build on it and be going to Super Bowl like they go to the NFC Championship game. Now they're going to go to the Super Bowl next year. But I do think that in terms of being a consistent competitive team in the NFL, and they definitely the NFC, I think they're there because they got the guy in Jaden Daniels. So it's all the big thing is to build around Jaden. Solidify the offensive line because when you have a quarterback like Jalen Daniels, you got to solidify the offensive line. That's important for a young quarterback who's still trying to learn how to read defenses, go through his progressions, and he's doing well. I'm not saying he can't do that, but I think the more time you have in the pocket, the more you get an opportunity to kind of like see the whole field. So I just think that building the offensive line to me is if it's not, it's definitely the second thing. The first thing is fixing that defense.
Right.
Fixing that defense. But secondarily, to me, is making sure that offensive line is probably one of the better offensive lines in football.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a whole lot of sense. And obviously you have a lot of things to be really excited about going into the future around Jaden Daniels and everything that offense can do. And I will say this, for both the Commanders and for the Detroit Lions, go back 10 years, and it's shocking. I wouldn't think that 10 years later, I would say that players are excited to be at both those teams. That, because there was some low times around 10 years ago for both teams.
Maybe 5.
And yeah, and exactly. And now, two of the top landing spots for free agents is Detroit and Washington, which is it says something about the way things go. And I will say this about, Detroit's been building on this for a while. I think probably 2.5 years, 3 years now, where people have these expectations growing. That's what the Commanders are going to have to face in the future as well. The expectations will grow pretty dramatically because you went 4-12 to NFC Conference Championship game. That's the turnaround. That is a turnaround. So that's something great. All right, let's go ahead and turn around to talk about the Super Bowl. And listen, I will say this. Like I said, we're all losers here because we got to watch this game. But I will say that it's still going to be entertaining. I think it's still going to be entertaining. And I did look this up because I did want to ask you guys about this, but I wanted to know, because as you guys know, I'm a huge movie buff. What was Patrick Mahomes' favorite movie and what was Jalen Hurts' favorite movie? You guys, I know you guys probably can't guess it, but any thoughts on that? What would you think? Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Do you have any thoughts?
I would say if I had to think about Patrick Mahomes, for some strange reason, I'm thinking like, well, he's a young boy, so it's gonna be a little harder for me. Hold on.
Yeah.
So Pat would probably be. Why is Forrest Gump coming to my mind? I don't know why. Forrest Gump. Patrick Mahomes.
That's interesting. That's an interesting one. I'm picturing like Patrick Mahomes running around. Run, Patrick, run.
Yeah. Jalen Hurts is such a mellow dude. I would say Jalen Hurts is from. Where is he from? I would if I have to pick a guess. Let me say Training Day for Jalen Hurts. Shall I say Training Day?
Training Day. Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. You got any guesses there on you, Scott? Or are you gonna?
Yeah, I'll go for Mahomes' High School Musical.
High School Musical.
That's kind of Patrick Mahomes for me. And Hurts. I'll go one of the later Star Wars movies, maybe. Like
interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting pick too.
So listen, maybe number 3.
I'll say this. Wole, you came closest, and this is why. So his number one favorite movie for Jalen Hurts was He Got Game. He Got Game with Spike Lee movie with Denzel Washington.
He looks like Denzel to me a little bit. That's why I was thinking.
Yeah. So you said Training Day, another Denzel movie, and actually and his second favorite movie is Friday Night Lights. So
I can see that.
That one kind of makes sense. For Patrick Mahomes, his number one favorite movie, Remember the Titans, another Denzel movie. Remember the Titans.
I should have thought football. I should have thought about it.
Yeah, right. You guys got it. But hey, you'll never guess his second favorite movie. It's Home Alone. And he's a young guy, but Home Alone was actually one of his favorite movies. Yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, I can kind of see
I
it
can see
too. I can
that.
kind of see him doing.
I mean, it was one of my favorite movies growing up, so I won't lie about that. It was definitely one of my favorite movies growing up.
Yeah, me too. I mean, who
I
as a
love
kid?
Home. Yeah, I
that was
loved.
like
I thought it was when I was when I was a kid, I thought it was the best movie ever.
Yeah.
At that time, I would not. Yeah,
because Macaulay Culkin is beating the crap out of Joe Pesci, which is like, wow, like he was like, I mean, like if you ever tried to do those real, whatever he did to him, if you try to do that to a real person, they would not survive. I'm just gonna say that right now.
They would die.
Yeah.
They would.
Yes, they would. Right. That paint can in the face thing, that's not going to end up well. That's not going to end well. I'm just saying.
And it's
right
crazy.
now.
I thought one was awesome, but I didn't think. I thought two would be initially. I remember this. I was like, two can't be as good as one, but two was close.
No,
like,
two's close.
Really close.
I just gotta wonder why his family keeps losing him. It's like
yeah, no,
it seems like bad parenting, right? I mean, at some
point
you're gonna be like,
parenting.
sometimes like child services might need to get involved here. They keep losing this kid. But anyway, so hey, so let me turn to the Super Bowl, right? Let's ask you first this one, Scott. Who do you think is going to win this game? Right now, the Chiefs are actually favored by 1.5, and the over/under is 49.5. So give us a winner and give us the over/under. And then what are your thoughts on the keys to the game?
Yeah, I mean, I've been expecting Kansas City to lose all year. Every week, I was like, they can't keep winning. They can't win 17-14 or 12, whatever these crazy scores are going to be. And it was just week after week after week. And I mean, I think Andy Reid doesn't get enough credit. I mean, he's got to be, if it's Belichick 1, I think Reid has moved into maybe the 2 slot ahead of
no doubt
the Dolphins coach. I just lost it,
Shula.
Yeah. And so I just think he puts together a game plan. The defense is obviously playing well. So as much as it pains me, I think the Chiefs are going to win. They just keep winning. They keep figuring out how to win. Keep getting calls, which is a whole another show.
Yeah.
We can,
right.
And I think overall, I think the game's going to go under. I mean, I could see the defense is kind of tightening up. The Super Bowl, lately, I think the teams start off a little tight. It's never as high flying as you think. So I could see this one landing somewhere in 21-17, 24, even 24-21, you're still under. You'd have to hit 28-24, 35-21 to hit the over. And I just don't see it going that way. I think we'll end up seeing defense running. I mean, stopping Saquon's the key, right? If you can't, he had 5 60-yard touchdowns in the playoff. It's crazy.
It's insane.
And so if you can't contain him, Philly will just get up and then just grind the clock to dust and it's over. So I think the key will be defense up front. And unfortunately, I think Kansas City goes 3-peat and, probably win somewhere in the 21-17 range. And we move on to South.
Right, and we'll all move on to the next sport. We'll be like, all right, now pay attention to the NBA. But I will say this: you mentioned the penalties and the fact that the refs have been making calls. I don't know if you recall this, but in Remember the Titans, they actually in the end of the movie, the refs get paid off to make calls against Denzel in order to make sure that he loses his job. Coaching the Titans, and of course the other coach, the defensive coordinator, steps up and says, "You do this, I'm going to out it," and so on. You'd think that Patrick Mahomes would have learned something from that, but apparently he's okay getting the calls from the refs. And, that's just the way it is, I guess. It's just kind of interesting. And that happens to be one of his favorite movies too, huh? I mean, come on, man. Just put yourself in Denzel's shoes, Patrick. Give me a break. All right, Wole, what do you think about the Super Bowl? Who's going to win?
The Eagles, right? That referee, the ref the NFC Championship game.
Yeah,
the Eagles are 7-0 now with Hockey's son.
Oh, really?
They're 7-0.
Wow.
We want to speak about reffing. I'm just saying,
did they trade jerseys at the end? Because that would be kind of.
When he made that, when Frankie Louvu kept going offsides and he said we will penalize them. And they will, the touchdown will count. I'm not surprised. Put it that way. I'm not surprised he said that.
But anyway. Yes, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
Not surprised he said that.
I didn't even realize they had the discretion to give points. That was a totally blew my mind.
Yeah.
I'm like the.
Well, I mean, like I said, he's undefeated with the Eagles. He's undefeated. He is never. The Eagles are undefeated with him as the head ref. But
Right.
But in terms of this game, it's really, and it's more on. And I'm gonna be not being biased or whatever. It's more on Spags versus what Spags gonna do to that Eagles offense. I believe that Spags is he's gonna do something which Todd Bowles has done in Tampa, which Washington couldn't do because they didn't try to do it. But they're gonna say, "Hey, Jalen Hurts, we want you to beat us."
Right.
That's what it is. It's not if Saquon beats him, it's because Saquon is just Saquon.
Right.
But they're not good. It's not going to be a point where they're going to have a light box. It's going to be there. It's going to be a heavy box to take away Saquon. And it won't be as good as AJ Brown is, as good as Devontae Smith is. It's still going to be AJ, and you got to get him. You have to give them the ball. And you're going to have to be accurate enough to fit it in places. Or if they're open, you're just going to have to make those plays. Because as we've seen it, when you let Saquon loose, and just like Scott said, when you let Saquon loose, you don't have a chance to win a football game. He's that special. Scott, you watch Barry Sanders is in Detroit. You know this. You got another young boy in like Jahmyr Gibbs who's that type of threat. Like anytime this dude Saquon touches the football, like he could take it to the house.
Yeah, 60 yards and a touchdown, as a matter of fact.
Exactly. So at least when you look at Hurts this season in terms of throwing the football, I'm not saying he's not a great passer or whatever, but he's not an elite passer. You know what I mean? And it's not like when you see with the Lions, when you got Jared Goff putting up, especially you're throwing the football with that running game. This is a situation where Saquon Jalen Hurts has a great running game, but he hasn't thrown for like 300 yards like that this season. So if I'm the Chiefs and you have one of the best DCs in football, I just expect them to have Jalen Hurts winning the football game. And I don't think if you're telling me Jalen Hurts go out and beat Patrick Mahomes one-on-one, I just don't think that happens. I think that whatever, as bad as I think Kansas City has looked this season, I don't think Kansas City looks good at all. But there's something about knowing how to win, and they do know how to win, and they are getting healthy at the right time. You can Hollywood Brown, you got Worthy, you got D-Hop, and you got Kelsey. So he does have talent in the skill positions where I feel like they can do enough to beat the Eagles. Especially if say, which I do believe that he's gonna not take away Saquon, but I think he's gonna be able to contain Saquon. And if he can contain Saquon, I think they beat the Eagles. And I'm more in favor of the Eagles. I mean, that for Kansas City winning a close one, I would say maybe 24-20 Kansas City.
Wow. Okay. And then both of you guys were taking the under on this too. That's interesting. So I will say this. I don't disagree with anything you guys said, except for your pick, right? I was gonna say right now that I think that the Eagles are gonna win this, and I'll tell you why. It's because of their defense, right? Saquon is definitely a big part of it, but their defense has been lights out, and they had some great additions this year, including Cooper DeJean and others. They really did a fantastic job kind of stalking that. And like I said, we all hate Nick Sirianni, right? I mean, he's a complete douchebag. I hate the guy. He's the guy who thinks he's really cool because he stole money from the blind kid. I hate him. But that being said, he is good at what he does on the field in terms of defense, and what they've put together there is a really dynamic defense that honestly it has allowed the least amount of passing yards per game this regular season. Only 174.2 passing yards, and the third lowest passer rating to opposing quarterbacks this season. The Kansas City Chiefs find ways to win, but that's a two-edged sword. They have 12 one-score victories this year, 12 of them. That's more than by far any other team. That means any team is going to be in it, right? I don't see the Chiefs blowing out the Eagles. That's not going to happen. It's going to be a close game, like you guys said. And if it's going to be close, I think the Eagles have a chance. The Chiefs are overall, I think, the better team. The Eagles just match up best against their weaknesses. They will be able to run the ball with Saquon, and they will be able to shut down Patrick Mahomes. Not completely. No one can do that. But they'll be able to take away those deep threats. Xavier Worthy, who's gotten so far, he's been breaking out at the end of the season, 25% target share since week 18 or week 17. But that being said, he doesn't have a real other reliable receiver other than Travis Kelce. And Isaiah Pacheco has been a disaster. It's all Kareem Hunt. I think that if they are left to rely on Kareem Hunt running the ball, they lose, right? It's got to be Patrick Mahomes. And I think that the Philadelphia defense, particularly that secondary, is going to be able to shut down that passing game. And it's going to be a close one where the Eagles are going to end up winning like 27-24, just beyond the over. That's the way I see it going. So, hey, everything you guys said, spot on, 100% correct, except for the pick. That's where you guys are wrong. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But hey, listen, 9 out of 10 ain't bad. You guys, you got everything else right. So I'm on board.
I just learned that even as much as anything, like it's just hard to doubt Patrick Mahomes. And then in a close game, especially this way, if it's going to be close, I'm gonna be real with you. And if you just watch it, the Eagles kicker has been struggling.
Yeah,
so in the close game, and if you look at the kicking game, Kansas City beats them there. So the game is close. One, we all know, if Pat gets the ball last and the game is tied,
it's done. It's done.
Secondly, if you're talking about relying on the kicker, like in between these two situations, Kansas City has the leg up on where the Eagles are right now. So
pretty good.
Kansas City, to me, the Eagles. I'll be honest. If the Eagles win, it has to be a double score lead win, in my opinion. If it's close, that's all Kansas City. Like there's just too much pressure for the Eagles in terms of what they do. It's too much pressure for them to maintain that lead and maintain that win because of, like I've mentioned, the kicking game is a problem. It is a serious problem because I don't know what happened to Elliott. Elliott lost his confidence. Right. And then you got on the other side, you got a guy who, if it's in a close game, you got a guy that all alone is intimidating. Like, like you can see that in the Bills game because they didn't want Pat to have the last drive. They did a lot of things that you normally wouldn't see in a postseason game because of the Pat Mahomes element. So I think in this too, like because of the Patrick Mahomes element, the Eagles will be trying to do certain things down the stretch that they typically wouldn't be doing.
Yeah, they definitely got to win time of possession. That's no doubt about it. They got to grind. You got to win time of possession. You got to grind it out. Yeah. And Jalen Hurts is going to have to make throws. It can't be all on Saquon Barkley. But I would say Dallas Goedert has been resurgent in the playoffs, and I think that he could be that X factor for them. I mean, AJ Brown is AJ Brown. Devontae Smith is Devontae Smith, but Dallas Goedert can get himself lost in there, and that's something that the Chiefs can be a little bit vulnerable to. So that loosens up that box, and Saquon finds some room. Who knows? But yeah, hey, listen, I kind of wish no one would win. I wish there was some rule in football where they could tie, and then they would declare them both losers. I would love that. That would make my life. But unfortunately, someone's gonna have to win here. All right, that brings us to the end of the show here. And listen, Wole, give us your social media so people can follow you, and of course your show, which is coming up right after this.
Yeah, we got a Commander show, all Burgundy and Gold everything at 9:30. It'll be on YouTube. YouTube X. The X will be on the Urban Sports Team X handle. On YouTube, it'll be on the All Burgundy and Gold everything YouTube channel. And also we'll be on IG, the All Burgundy and Gold everything IG streaming live there as well. On socials in terms of X, you can follow me at Wole_USS. You can see it right here in blue. That's at Wole_USS. You can check us out on our Facebook page at Urban Sports Scene. Just search Urban Sports Scene. We're everywhere. Just do that. That's easy.
They are everywhere. Definitely check that out. You're doing yourself a disservice if you're not checking that out. Absolutely. And Scott, give us your social media so people can follow you.
Yeah, check me out at NFL Fantasy _more on Twitter. Always looking to have a nice conversation. And
yes, nice conversation.
If you're bored, NASCAR's back Sunday, so we'll be getting picks going here soon. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, definitely check that out because he has some great picks, and he'll come at you if you don't agree with him. So
it's good to see Scott in person. I see his name in picks and whatnot because I'm sorry.
That's right. You're like, who is this guy?
I'm trash in picks.
Like, I didn't realize you haven't actually saw him in person before.
Yeah, it's good to see Scott in person. I'm trash. It's good to see somebody who knows how to pick games. It's good to see somebody who knows how to pick games. It's good to see somebody.
Right.
It's a good year.
Oh, I see how this is now. All right, you can at FD Garbage Time. You can follow me on the Facebook page at the Football Garbage Time page. As usual, thank you for listening and wasting time with us. Until next time, enjoy your NFL week.